So I am very excited to announce that I was able to meet and interview Leigh Whannell, the director and writer of Wolfman, which is set to release in theaters January. He also wrote and directed The Invisible Man and Upgrade, two amazing films, and I'm excited that I'm able to share a 13-minute interview that I had with him. So enjoy.
Good. How are you, Lee?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's good to reconnect.
Yeah, it is. What do you got there behind you? Is that some crime scene tape or
Oh yeah,
little
some
Halloween
Some
decorations?
Halloween decorations. Yeah, this is my studio for film and content, so I had to decorate for the holiday.
Oh, good. Good.
All right, well, with the launch of the new trailer at New York Comic Con for the upcoming Wolfman film, written and directed by you, Leigh Whannell, I've connected with you again, reconnecting with you because I was
Hmm.
actually fortunate enough to visit the set. But
That's
that's I'm
right.
gonna talk, yeah, I'm gonna talk more about that later down the line around when the movie comes out in January. But for now, Lee, it's so good to reconnect with you. How are you
Yeah, man,
doing?
it's good to see you too. I'm great. I'm still in the middle of making this film. So you're asking me how the war is going while I'm in the trenches taking heavy fire. So,
Mhm.
I'm really happy with how it's coming along. You've seen different stages. You got to see me on the set in that war zone, and now you're seeing me in a different mindset. And then hopefully, you'll see me again when the film's come out.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm very excited. When the first teaser trailer dropped for it, I thought it was super interesting, and I was like invested. And I've been waiting for a
Hmm.
full trailer, and I got to see it a little bit early before it comes out on Friday. And I think it looks incredible. It's so cool being able to have seen some of it on the set, but also now in the trailer. It's awesome. I love your vision for films.
Mm.
And if I'm correct, filming ended around a couple months ago, correctly?
Oh yeah, maybe longer. I mean, it feels like it was more like 3 months ago. It's
Gotcha,
weird. The
gotcha.
way time stretches when you're making a movie is crazy. But
Mhm.
yeah.
But that brings me to my first question for you is that, like, what is one of, or if not the most rewarding feeling that you had after the last day of shooting?
Ooh. You know, actually, one of the things for me was just my attitude on set. I feel like my first few movies, I was very precious. You get caught up in this thing of like you're protecting a baby bird and it's in your hands. It's this tiny little injured sparrow, and there's the you can get into a mindset where you feel like the world around is trying to kill this bird, and you're
Hmm.
and it can lead you to be quite precious, get quite anxious. And I felt like on this movie, I felt a bit more relaxed in the sense I was trusting more. I wasn't I wasn't seeing things like I'm at war with all the outside forces trying to protect this thing. I felt like, no, every single person here is just helping. And, I always had a good relationship with the crew, but on this movie in particular, I I felt that I was a bit more zen. There was a lot of things happening in my life at the time, in my personal life, and I realized that, movies aren't the be all and end all. It's an important part of my life, but sometimes other things happen that show us, wow, the set of the movie is a place to be happy. No, you know what I mean? Because then you get out
Yeah.
there into the outside world, things
Hmm.
happen, real things, and I don't want to waste that time being anxious or being guarded. So that was probably the biggest thing for me after the last day of shooting was just happiness about my relationship with everybody.
Yeah, that's great. And that's actually a perfect segue into my next question, which is when it comes to finishing a film, not just Wolfman, but films that you made in your career, in your eyes, is it sort of a bittersweet moment for you when it comes to, finishing the last day of shooting?
Yeah, well, actually, for me, post is my favorite part. So
Mhm.
when on the last day of shooting, I'm actually excited to get into post. Shooting
Oh,
can be a bit of a war. Like
mhm.
it's a war against the clock. It's a war against the sun, the money that you have. There's a lot of stress, and I tried to fight it off on this movie, as I said, and I was doing a lot of fun things for the crew and getting food trucks, and we were going and playing laser tag and us doing escape rooms, and we had movie days where like 60 of us would go and see a movie. So it was fun, but at the
Awesome.
at the end, I just had this excitement to dive into post. I will say though that when the whole movie is over, when the final day of post is done and it's all wrapped up, there is a withdrawal phase where you're like, it's hard to enter civilian life again after you've been ferociously focusing on one thing for so long. That
Yeah.
has always been a tough adjustment. In fact, I've had to reach out to other filmmakers I know in the past and be like, "How do you cope with this? Because I'm not doing well." And they're all like, "Yeah, the post film depression is
Yep.
real." So you know about that. So it doesn't really hit me on the last day of shooting, but it does hit me on the last day of post.
Yeah,
You know.
it kind of reminds me of how like when you get so into like a television show and you watch it all in like a span of a week and then you finish it and you're just like you have like nothing more. You have to find something else to do and just you have to start
I,
another show.
there's like a real melancholy. I
Yeah.
remember years ago, my wife and I watched Breaking Bad. We came very late to that
Mm,
show. We
me
watched it
too.
way after everyone else had seen it, and
Hmm.
so we were watching it, streaming it, and it took us a long time. We would watch a couple of episodes a week, and finally, when the final episode, I remember looking at my wife and going, "What are we going to do with our lives now?" Like there was definitely a depression of like, oh God, there's
Yeah.
nothing means anything anymore. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, I made that connection, so that's really funny. But
Mm,
with the success of The Invisible Man, which by the way, I think is an incredible film and a really like interesting way of taking a classic story and modernizing
mm,
it.
thank
I
you.
was yeah, no problem. I was very interested as to like what inspires you to come up with such unique stories connected to those classics.
I don't know. It's sometimes it's other people presenting you with an idea. You never know where a movie is going to come from. They sometimes a movie could just happen to you, and there are times when you have an idea, you write it down, you go get the money, you make the film if you're lucky, and the process is very linear. But other times, movies are just like comets; they can just crash land in your life. You know, you're walking along one day, and somebody bumps into you and says, "You should read this book," and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you've got a whole other movie. Or Invisible Man came out from that came about because of a meeting. I never expected to make that film. That wasn't something I was pushing for. But I went to a meeting at Universal and they brought up the Invisible Man. So really, in the case of the Invisible Man and Wolfman, the idea was presented to me, and then I kind of reverse engineered my own take on it, as
Oh wow.
opposed to like me sitting up at night thinking like, right, Wolfman, Wolfman,
Hmm.
what's my version of it? It was more like somebody else said, "What do you think about Wolfman?" And then I started. It's just very interesting that the power of suggestion from other people. So um, but what I do know is that I have my own take on these particular monster movies, my style. I think that Wolfman is a spiritual cousin to Invisible Man in terms of the tone, the
Hmm.
approach.
Yeah.
It's tonally similar in its grounded approach to these monsters, as opposed to something maybe more gothic and more heightened that you might
Hmm.
see.
Yeah. No, I love the way you kind of, create a completely different story around like domestic abuse and this one it's about watching someone in your life change drastically. I think that's very interesting connecting it to classic monster films like those. Um and I have two more questions. They're a little bit hefty, so I hope
Mm.
I have a couple more
Yeah,
minutes,
of course,
but
of course, of course.
this isn't really a question to either confirm or deny future movies, but just a genuine question because I love imagining what movies can be like. So I was wondering,
Mm.
within the Universal monsters, is there another one that you would like to tackle?
I don't, there's not one that I'm like, oh, I'd like to tackle that one. But if somebody had me at gunpoint and said, you have to do another, I've
Yeah.
always really been attracted to Jekyll and Hyde. Like, I just love that story.
Hmm.
It's always fascinated me. And even when I was a kid, when I was in love with these monsters, Dracula and Frankenstein and the Wolfman, I remember the story of Jekyll and Hyde. You had a particular hold on me, so maybe that, yeah.
Oh, cool. I've actually personally never really even heard of Jacqueline Hyde, so I'm going to do some more research into that monster because now I'm very
Oh
interested as to
yeah,
who that is.
Jekyll and Hyde. It's a Robert Louis Stevenson book. It's I think the full title of the book is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And it's a doctor who creates a serum, and when he drinks it, he transforms into this like hideous creature that is murderous. It's almost like a version of the Incredible Hulk or something, but
Yeah.
not taken from a superhero angle. Obviously it predates the Hulk, but
Yeah.
it's really an eerie story. The idea of the villain and the hero being the same person.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, you describing that made me think like a modernized version of it could be about like tackling like alcoholism as far as like the
Yeah,
drinking the potion and just like, how it
yeah,
changes the whole body. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, no, that's very interesting. And this brings me to my last question, just a little
Mm,
fun one. But if there is one thing that you can give the audience who I know are itching to go
hmm
see this in theaters in January, without giving
Yes, of
anything
course.
away, obviously I don't
hmm
want to spoil it, but is there something that you can share to get them even more excited?
Ooh, I can say that, they shouldn't come in expecting to see the usual. They're going to see a committed fan of this character making the best version of this character that I can, but trying for something different. So you can come in and not expect to see the same old tropes. I mean,
Hmm.
the image of the man transforming into a beast under the moonlight is all embedded in our consciousness.
Yep.
I I wanted to shift that 1 degree to the left and do my version of it. Well, it still delivers on all the horror, the practical effects, everything we love
Hmm.
about it, but it's not that version you've seen before. So, and the other thing is, it's really designed for theaters. Like
Hmm.
we've really gone hard on making this film like an oral and visual assault, and just really take advantage of the the space of a movie theater. So it
Yeah.
really was designed for movie theaters. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. Well, I'm very excited. I will obviously be there probably the day before it comes out in theaters on the biggest screen
Please.
possible because you can go see this in IMAX for our audience to know. You can go see
hmm
this in IMAX, and I highly recommend seeing it in IMAX. It's like the best way to go
hmm
see a film. But yeah, that'll bring us to the end of this interview. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
letting me
so
ask you
much.
some more
Thank you.
questions.
I love your sideways t-shirt. That's great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I know they just had the 20th anniversary, so I got this shirt for it. So yeah,
Greetings from Santa Barbara.
yeah,
Well, it's great to see you again, and
yeah. It was
I
great seeing you
appreciate that you're
too.
following up on our last chat. Hopefully, I'll see you again on the trail.
Oh, I love that very much.
Thanks, man. Good luck with everything in your films too.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, mate.
Appreciate it. Bye
Cheers,
bye.
brother. Thank you, mate. Bye.
Bye.
So there was my first interview with Leigh Whannell, director and writer of Wolfman. Yes, I say first because I had already previously met Leigh Whannell in person on the set of Wolfman, but that is something that I'm going to discuss to you later down the line when the film releases in January. So make sure that you stick around for the release of Wolfman in theaters January. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Leigh Whannell, being able to talk to him about his vision of Wolfman. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. And remember, your movie moment is right around the corner. See you in the next video.